Hello and welcome to RotD Review of the Day, and today we are opening our 25th and final door of the Advent calendar of Christmas horror movies. Merry, Merry Christmas to everybody out there, and thank you so much for following along as we've been on this journey. We have had killer Santas, we've had killer elves, we've had some of the best, and definitely some of the worst, and there's another reason to celebrate. This is my 300th horror movie review for this channel. You know, I never dreamt in a million years that I would get this far and that I would have the absolute privilege of having such a wonderful fan base of viewers like yourself, the rotted souls out there that have subscribed. Over 500 subscribers. I am grateful for each and every one of you. This has been a massive amount of fun, and here's to 300 more. So, moving forward, let's go ahead and get this review underway. I am taking a look at the 2007 movie from France, Inside. Now, for those of you that have never heard of it, this is a remarkably brutal movie. They did a 2016 American remake, and although I think that they did an okay-ish job as a standalone film, I would say that as a remake to this spectacular film, it feels pretty lackluster. So if you're going to have your choice of which one to watch, definitely watch this one. Now, as far as why I picked this one as my Christmas Day choice, there's two reasons. First of all, it takes place the night of Christmas Eve. I wouldn't say that this is a very Christmassy movie, but it's set around the holidays, and when you start doing, 50, 55 some odd Christmas horror movies, you start to take what you can get. And this one, set during Christmas Eve, I'll take it. The other reason I did it was because it is remarkably brutal, and I did enjoy it so much that I kind of wanted to save it for last. I have had a tradition amongst my friends and family. We're going to go back a little bit into the past of Mike here. There was a portion, I host 24-hour horror movie marathons for my friends and family on a fairly regular basis. I have an annual one around Halloween, and then I kind of pepper out throughout the year some other ones. And at one point, there was a movie that I showed during one of the Halloween ones, and it was The Girl Next Door. And it was a situation where we got done watching it, and it was plenty fucked up. But it wasn't that scary, and we really, it was definitely a horror movie, but it really didn't fit within the Halloween theme. I couldn't really think of where it would fit, and then I started to think of other movies along those lines, and that got me inspired to create a 24-hour movie marathon of basically fucked up movies, and we called it the Fucked Up-a-thon. And honestly, it has been one of the most challenging movie marathons I've ever hosted. I've done them twice now, and the first time we did not get to finish. We got one movie. The second to last movie we had was Requiem for a Dream, and by that time, having so many movies in a row of just absolute soul destruction, we couldn't finish. We had to put on Love Actually and call it a draw. The second round we did finish, but we're talking about movies like Antichrist and a Serbian film and so on. So Inside was one of the movies that didn't really make the Halloween marathon, but it did make the Fucked Up-a-thon. So that might give you a sense of where this movie lands in the realm of horror. This is not for lightweights. This is not for people dipping their toes in. This is not for people whose idea of peak horror is the MGM or Universal Monsters, the Boris Karloff and so forth. This is definitely some pretty hardcore stuff. Definitely not the most out there, but it as much as publicly accessible, it's pretty darn bad, just in terms of how brutal it is. So if you're wanting to watch this movie, really buckle up, because this one might test your mettle. So this movie follows the character of Sarah, who is in a car accident in which she loses her husband. That's really not a big spoiler. It's right in the opening credits. Fast forward 4 months, now she is super pregnant. And Christmas Eve, she is seeing her doctor. Her doctor is saying that the baby is healthy, but she definitely seems pretty morose and withdrawn from things, understandably so. And because of how pregnant she is, the doctor says, we're going to go ahead and schedule you to induce tomorrow, Christmas Day, but for right now, why don't you go ahead and go home have your last night of rest and relaxation that you're going to have in a while. So that's what she does. Or that's what she sets out to do. I mean, she's still pretty morose. She's still pretty, torn up and sad and depressed and so on. And she's very scared about what the future holds for her and her baby, understandably so. So she goes home to rest, and that's when she gets a knock at the door. And this is definitely a knock that will change her life. I just got a text message from RotD Soul Kendrick. Kendrick, Merry Christmas out there. You made it during the recording of this. Basically, this knock at the door is an unknown woman who is basically taking it upon herself to be a home invader and an assailant. We don't know who she is. We don't know what she wants. We don't know why she wants what she wants. All we know is that she is trying to get into the house. She knows Sarah. Sarah doesn't know her, and there's a lot of violence that happens throughout the rest of the movie. Now, this does not have what I would say the most extensive amount of gore I've ever seen in a film. This I actually by a long shot, but that's mostly just because of all the other movies I've seen. This might definitely top out the radar of most other folks. But while the gore isn't the most excessive I've ever seen, I would say that it strikes a beautifully terrible balance between plentiful and personal. And what do I mean by personal? What I mean is, when you're watching something on screen and it's gory, and that's really kind of the best description of it, that can have a wide range of how much it really resonates on a visceral level with the audience. You could have Leatherface there with a chainsaw just somebody in half and have all sorts of blood and guts and gore and intestines and so on screen. And yeah, it's gory, but does it really resonate? Does it really make you, I mean, beyond just, Texas Chainsaw-ish, kind of nature to things, versus, say, a more intimate scene, a more personal scene, where somebody might have, scraped the floor and their fingernail is half off, and then it has gruesome detail of them removing the last bit of their fingernail. Is it as gory as the chainsaw? Absolutely not. Is it more personal? Do you more feel that as the audience, as you're just, yes. Take Marathon Man with the dentist. Is it safe scene? Not a horror, not gory, but damn, is it personal? And that's what I would mean by the movie Inside, is it's both plentiful and personal. Between the magnificent practical effects, and I would say CG effects, there was just a whole lot of really great special effects to add to the body gore of this film on a very personal level. Along with the camera work, the Foley work, the sound was just crazy good in terms of how much it really puts you in the movie. Everything about this really came together to deliver a very personal gore experience that is a very difficult watch. This movie tests me sometimes. There are moments within this movie where I just want to take a little bit of a break. Like, okay, that just happened. Holy shit, I need a cup of coffee. So I'm going to go ahead and throw up all the scores here. As always, 4 different categories, each one worth up to 25 points for a total possible score of 100 points. And this is obviously a movie that I really cherish. The plot gets a really high mark on this one, and that's something that I think is absolutely beautiful, because it's very easy to have a movie like this that has a high amount of special effects and gore and blood and so on and so forth, and have it be completely soulless, and that is not the case with this movie. This has characters that were just really fleshed out well. This has character development. This has a whole lot going for it in terms of plot and story and reveals that really make this a beautiful but a tough watch outside of the realm of gore. So yeah, I really love the whole plot. The intention gets a perfect mark because this nailed the landing. This is only the third movie that I have done this for with a perfect 25 out of 25 on the intention score. The first was 120 Days of Sodom, and the next was actually fairly recently with Anna and the Apocalypse. So yeah, what this movie set out to do, it did perfectly. And I love it for that. It may not be the perfect movie, but it set out to do something and it achieved it perfectly. And the acting I thought was really well done. Alison Paradis playing Sarah was phenomenal. And in contrast to Beatrice Dalle, who played the unknown, untitled La Femme. It was a great contrast, and it was great having them kind of be that contrast within each other, where the La Femme character really started out pretty much from the get-go on beast mode, and it was up to Sarah to kind of rise up to that level. I always love these kind of home invasion movies, especially where we have a feminine hero, victim slash hero, where they rise to the level of hero, especially when they go full beast mode. There's something just really satisfying about that, when they have basically had enough, the switch flips in their brain, and they go bonkers. And it's there's something just magnificently satisfying for me on that, from an audience perspective. I love watching that transition happen for the characters, and it was up to Sarah to kind of match the energy and the viciousness that the Femme character was portraying on the screen, and the way that they interacted with one another, and the way that the actresses played off each other, both in the moments of vicious violence and in more somber dialogue, was amazing. It was great. And again, the way Sarah played the character of somebody that was very, very scared for the future, even before all this shit started going down, somebody who was absolutely scared for the future, she portrayed that in a very heartbreaking way. You felt it in her. And yeah, high marks on the acting. And the technical, again, everything about the camera work, everything about the Foley work, everything about the music, everything on a technical level about this movie, I found to be incredibly impressive. And if this had faltered in the slightest, it would have affected the intention score, because that like I said, that balance between plentiful and personal was very well struck. And if things about the sound design had not been as good as they were, then that level of personal feel to what we were seeing on the screen wouldn't have really resonated as hard as it did. So yeah, I have absolutely no problem giving this a grand total of 89 out of 100 points. I love this movie. This is a tough watch, and I will not recommend it for everybody. But if you think you can handle it, then I would say that this is a beautiful movie in its own right, in its own weird horror movie lover right. It is a gorgeous movie. It is a terribly beautiful movie, and I would absolutely recommend it to anybody that thinks that they can handle it. I really hope you do, for your sake, because like I said, I just think it's just absolutely tops, and I would love for everybody to watch this, but I kind of have that realistic knowledge that it's just not for everybody, and some people are going to turn it off after half an hour when things start really kicking off, and that's fine. If it's beyond your ability to handle on that core level, I get it, I do understand, and I try to have some empathy towards that, but again, for those of you that can, I absolutely recommend it. And I would say definitely look for the unrated version, because once it came to America and it got distributed by Dimension Films, I think there were some scenes that were cut that I can see why on a brutal level, but that's why we're watching it. So I would definitely recommend trying to find the full-length unrated version if it's at all possible. So that should about do it. That's my review of 2007's Inside. I really thank you for joining me here today. Today of all days especially. Thank you so, so much. It's Christmas. It's 300 views. It's such a cause for celebration. I am so, so happy right now and so grateful to all of you. So remember, if you like this video, please click like and subscribe. And if you want to support me further, my Patreon and my merchandise storefront links are below. Remember, next time you want to watch a horror movie, first make sure that it's good and rotted.